Well, the ANC's Gauteng Chief Whip, Brain Hlongwa, has resigned. Hlongwa's resignation comes as the party's Integrity Committee is expected to release a statement on their decision following an investigation into his and former Health MEC Qedani Mahlangu's conduct. Hlongwa has been implicated in alleged corruption amounting to 1.2 billion rand while he was MEC for Health. For more, I'm joined in studio by our reporter Chriselda Lewis. Chriselda, good afternoon to you. It's a telltale sign if you're going to resign before a report that's set to come out later today,
yes,
perhaps chopping you anyway.
That's right. We were expecting a statement from the ANC in Gauteng at 1:30 this afternoon, basically deciding on the fate of Brain Hlongwa, who has now resigned as the chief whip of the ANC in the Gauteng legislature, and on the fate of Qedani Mahlangu, relating, of course, to the more than 140 deaths in the Life Esidimeni tragedy. So it seems now a little birdie at Lutuli House is telling me that Brain Hlongwa was advised to rather resign before that statement was released, and we see the statement now from him where he says that he's decided to resign as the chief whip, and he believes that he is resigning because the allegations that have been lingering on for the past 8 years have not been tested in court, and he feels that the focus itself would be taken away from the work of the ANC if he remained on as the chief whip of the ANC in Gauteng. So I guess him rather resigning than waiting for that statement, which we understand at 1:30 will also speak to the fate of Qedani Mahlangu. You must recall that both Brain Hlongwa and Qedani Mahlangu in July had been elected to the Provincial Executive Committee, which caused a huge uproar. We see the Treatment Action Campaign that had protested against this. We saw the families of the victims of the Life Esidimeni tragedy who had also spoken up about this, and they asked themselves, how could somebody like Qedani Mahlangu be elevated within the African National Congress, yet such a disaster took place under her watch?
Yeah. What does that say, however, of the integrity of this report when it comes out, that it only happens after so long that we've had to deal with this tragedy, and now only we're seeing it come out? Is this really just electioneering, considering how close we're getting to next year's elections?
Without a doubt, the ANC would at this point do anything to try and ensure that it does try and woo back its voter base following the disaster that we saw in the last local government elections. Remember, with a number of scandals that the ANC has been facing, irrespective, we're talking about state capture, e-tolls here in Gauteng, which many of the voters, we understand through some analysts, used in the polls to demonstrate their unhappiness with the ANC having implemented this process without consulting the people of Gauteng, as has been reported. So, Arabile, at this stage, the ANC cannot have this noose around its neck. It cannot have, just shortly before the ANC would need to go an election year and woo voters to go out and vote in next year's general election. You can't have a situation where voters will be asking questions about why the issue relating to Brain Hlongwa has not yet been taken through the courts, and why Qedani Mahlangu, even after it was found in that arbitration hearing by the retired Deputy Chief Justice Museneke, that she was responsible for what had taken place. And you saw the families themselves really go out and express large dissatisfaction about what had taken place.
Yeah. Having seen all of that come to the fore, you mentioned court proceedings, and perhaps it should have been going through the courts. Surely him resigning, or even if Qedani Mahlangu was to be taken out as Gauteng Health MEC, is surely not enough.
No, it's not. And in fact, in a preview that we did yesterday, speaking to the issue of Life Esidimeni, in fact, the families of the deceased in that tragedy are saying that it's not enough. Even if come 1:30 this afternoon, the ANC in Gauteng decides to remove Qedani Mahlangu from its Provincial Executive Committee, she needs to go to jail. That's what they say. And on the part of Brain Hlongwa as well, we're certainly going to hear from the ANC in the next a couple of minutes to an hour, I understand, as well as the families of the victims of the Life Esidimeni tragedy, as well as the EFF, the ANC and the Democratic Alliance as well on this particular issue.
Chriselda, we'll have to leave it there. It's clearly a story we will be discussing in at least another hour or so. Chriselda Lewis there, keeping abreast of that story there as Brain Hlongwa resigns there.